Today is going to be a good day, and not only because the sun is shining, but because I'm reviewing my first BMW on the channel. Very exciting, great that BMW also trusts us enough to lend us their cars. And of course, this is the i4. My name is Peter and I'm going to talk you through this i4, and we're going to start with the styling, of course, because where the most EVs are traditionally a bit more crossover and SUV orientated, this is a normal sedan, Gran Coupé, I have to say actually. And the big one, of course, is height. This car is only 1.45 meters high, and that has consequences downstream, of course, for packaging, for handling, for weight, and for the space inside, as we'll see in a bit. But it is really cool to see that BMW has this traditional shape, but then in electric form. Obviously, with BMW, you can also go for the X models if SUV or crossover is more your kind of thing. But I think it is really cool that it's still offered in this packaging as well. Now, of course, we've got to talk about the styling. It is basically a normal 4 Series, except for this little bit of plastic here on the front. Less cooling obviously required for an EV, so this is now closed, and also, of course, for aerodynamic efficiency. But that is basically the main difference here. The whole car is roughly the same as a normal 4 Series. I'll open up the hood for you here. Nothing really to see except a giant piece of covering plastic for all the gubbins underneath. No frunk or anything, because that's of course also a consequence of this packaging. And of course you get your wiper fluid tank over here. So that's it. Special mention here on the front for the headlights. Really nice. At night there's a ton of light and really pleasant to drive with. Really accentuates your vision out of the car the way lighting really should. So excellent done by BMW here. Now, while we are here on the side, when I stand next to the car, you can really tell how low that roofline is. It's way under my shoulders. So that really shows you how much height you can drop the car if you don't go for the SUV shape. Mind you, it is not a small car. It's 4.80 meters long almost. So the main difference is really that height, because you don't really lose much in the length. But we'll see inside in a bit what consequences that has, especially for the space in the rear, because of course we have this sloping roofline for the Gran Coupé shape. Now, you'll probably notice in the front already, this car has quite a few extras on it, among which the M Performance pack, as you can clearly see here on the side. Not really sure if I would put that on the car, but it is a nice chunky version, as you can see as well by the rims and the upgraded brakes. So that is really nice and good looking, but it all comes at a cost, of course, that we'll talk about in a minute. Then the back of the car, not unimportant, of course. Some more M Performance bits here, and you can also tell that we are driving with the eDrive40 version, which is not the bottom of the range, but certainly not the highest range either, but I think a nice middle choice in terms of power and also price, as we'll get to, like I said. Now, before we open the boot, I mentioned the headlights earlier. I also want to have special mention for the tail lights. I quite like this LED light strip inside design. It's really cool, looks really nice at night as well, and I think it's a nice bit of extra style and flair that it gives this car. Then the boot itself, when I open it, notice how high it goes. It actually goes so high that I'm this close from touching the roof in my parking garage. So it is really high. And you have the cover permanently here. So that's the thing. But it is a solid cover, so that is good for sound dampening. It is quite a good opening, very big and square opening, so you can put a lot of stuff in. But of course you lose a bit of height compared to SUVs with this line back here. Now, I don't think you're going to use this car to transport any washing machines, but you do have 470 liters of space. So that is extremely usable for anything from your holiday to travels to weekends away, stuff for the family. Easily enough to live with on a day-to-day basis. And also, if you like to travel by car, this will serve you well in basically most situations, I think. So that's great, and because you have the big opening, it's also super easy to load stuff in. You do have a bit of a load lip, and if I open the double floor, I have the subwoofer of the upgraded Harman Kardon audio system in there, so there's no real underfloor storage except your tire pressure kit. Obviously, we have to charge the car after a day of driving. Luckily, we can do that at the public charger here with 11 kilowatts. And if we want to go fast charging, then we can go up to just over 200 kilowatts. And with an 80 plus kilowatt hour battery pack underneath, that gives you a bit of an idea on how much charging you need to do. Now, 200 kilowatts of fast charging is fast enough for most people, but it's certainly not anything groundbreaking. And of course, the step towards especially the Chinese charging speeds is quite large. My own Xpeng G6 already charges at 280. The new generation Xpeng goes over 500, and the other manufacturers aren't much different. So as far as that goes, it's quite a gap, but in reality, that fast charging, crazy peak speed is quite limited. And most of the times, even with 200, you are maxing out the poles and the available charging infrastructure already. And let's be honest, most of the time you're charging at home. But that's for you to decide how you feel about that. Let me know in the comments below if that really fast charging is important to you or not, or 200-ish is fine as well. Range-wise, with just over 80 kilowatt hours in battery capacity, you have to think towards the 500 kilometer mark. Of course, we're doing the full cockpit tour like you're used to here on Autogo Fuel. This BMW i4, as far as that goes, is no different. What is different is that it is my first BMW on the channel, like I said. So it's kind of cool to go through a modern BMW interior and see what's what and how I feel about certain things. Overall, I can already say that the quality in here is impressive. Of course, this car comes at a price point where you expect quality to be good. But it is a very well put together interior with nice squidgy materials where you want them, hard materials where you want them, no piano shiny plastic except for a little bit here around the vents. But overall, quality and very thought through cabin with just the right amount of tech. What also stands out immediately is the driving position. As soon as you sit in this car, you realize it's a car made for driving. A good example, if I'm looking at the screen on the camera, you can see the angles of the steering wheel, my arm and elbow, and my shoulder. It's very interesting. You can see that my shoulder is below the steering wheel line and that the top of the steering wheel is almost at my nose. And that really gives you that commanding position right away when as soon as you sit down, you feel like, oh, we're about to drive. And that's really nice. And I think that is also the aim and the purpose of maybe BMW in general, but especially of this shape car, that it's not like an attacking car, but as soon as you sit down, you feel like, oh yes, it's time to do some steering. And when you sit here, you sit low, of course, due to the form factor, you sit low to the ground. You see that big bonnet in front of you and it's nice. It gives you a good sense of occasion and a good confidence in driving this car. Even though this is not the one with the crazy 600 plus horsepower, it's still, plenty of power for this kind of vehicle. So it's good that you feel confident the moment you sit down. Now, when I look through the cabin, here on the left in the door, we have actually a very traditional door, which is quite nice. And it goes for the whole interior. It's a car. It's not a mobile phone on wheels, even though there is a lot of tech in here. But it is a very traditional interior design. Of course, since this car is based on the normal 4 Series, most of it is the same. So starting here on the left, we have normal switches for the windows. We have a normal switch for the mirror control, a normal door handle, a normal door grip. That's all very normal. If you come from any other BMW product, of course, you're going to feel right at home. But if this is your first EV, then it also still feels like a normal car, which is quite nice. I can totally see that people don't like it. If you want the full sort of futuristic EV minimalistic experience, look elsewhere. This is not it. But if you do like a more traditional car interior approach, then this might be more your cup of tea. Now, I mentioned the steering wheel in this position. It is actually very chunky and a very thick steering wheel with a flat button for easier getting in and out, but fully with real buttons. There's nothing actually touchy-swipey in here, except of course for the big touchscreen. But real buttons to press, real things to operate. So that's nice. I'll let you listen for a sec to if I press a volume button, for example. That just sounds good. That sounds like a nice button to press. And that's actually true. I mean, everything in here that you operate, it feels nice. So the tactility of everything is very pleasant. I got my system control and media control here on the right, cruise control and such on the left. Normal stalks behind your steering wheel for your indicators and your wipers, so all very traditional there too. Driver's display through the steering wheel is very clear and easy to read both at night and during the day, so that's good. It is design-wise not really my taste, to be honest. I think they could have used a little less or more design, depending on how you look at it, but the information is clear, well presented and easy to read. And you can of course have anything on there from your lane departure, lane keeping, cruise control, navigation, whatever you want. Then we have the middle display, which is I believe 14 inches big. So that sounds large, and it is, but it's mostly wide, so it's not very high. It is pleasant to operate, it's fast, it's BMW's iDrive system, so there's a lot going on. It is a bit cumbersome sometimes to get through the menus. If I go to the app screen here, there is a lot of layers in the menu and a lot of icons and a lot of things to click. So that can get a bit cumbersome at times. It's not the cleanest system that I've ever used. There's also the typical downfall that there's too many things in the screen. You can see the temperature control, for example, already on the bottom. Temperature itself, sort of fine, but as soon as you want to do anything else with the Klima, you have to go to the Klima menu, and then you have to turn it on, and then you have to start fumbling with all kinds of settings and individual settings, and it gets way too complicated, way too fast. So that is not a solution to a problem that didn't even exist in the first place if you would just have a few buttons down here, because that is, yeah, it's just annoying and it's not necessary. So there's a few quirks like that also with this system. And interestingly, for example, they do still have a physical volume button here. So I don't understand why they can't just have a few Klima buttons there as well. Speaking of buttons and the menu, luckily you can operate everything with the rotary dial and the quick access buttons here in the middle. I've mentioned that in the reviews of some modern Mazdas as well. It is very pleasant, especially while driving, that you can sort of have your fingertips here going through the menus and with the hotkeys. It's very nice and very pleasant way of interacting with your car without having to look here, start swiping, start missing your touch targets because the car is always moving. So that's actually quite nice that BMW keeps this for now at least. Then under the screen we have this sort of silver bit that's also here on the center console. I'm not really sure what kind of material it is. Personally, I don't really like the look of it, to be honest. And it also gives a sort of a weird bit of smudging, especially here in the middle of this cover. It is much better than piano black though, so as far as that goes, BMW, good job, but I would personally have picked something else than this silver bit. The only bit of piano black is here on the vents. Not really sure why, but okay, it's there. The vents are still manually controllable though, with this little pokey sticky thingy sticking out, both for the center and also on the side. So that is excellent. Well done. And then we have a volume button. And then we have the volume knob here, skip tracks and some max heating and max ventilation for your windows. Under the cover here in the middle, you have your cup holders and your wireless charging pad and a USB-A port, if you still want to use that, and also a 12-volt socket. The wireless charging pad, of course, works, but it's not too big. My Pixel 10 XL fits in there just. I actually have to jam it in order to get the wireless charging going. So anything bigger than that or anything with a thick case is not going to fit. Cup holders, you know what they do. Then we have the center tunnel with that rotary dial and the hotkeys, and also some quick settings for your driving modes. So Sport, Comfort, Eco, Pro, Auto Hold, Parking Brake, Start Stop, Parking Distance, Traction Control off, and your Drive Selector are also here. Last but not least, under the armrest we have a little cubby with another USB-C in this case and some storage, and that is all. The seats deserve some special attention because this is a pleasant place to sit for me. I fit in them very nicely without getting, squished and stuck like I often get in car seats. There's plenty of space for me to move, despite the fact there is a decent amount of bolstering going on. So that is good too. Point of criticism is that they're not electrically adjustable. So this car is over 70,000 euro and you don't get electric seats. So that is a bit of a letdown, I think. And the weird part is that the lumbar support is electric. So you can do that with a little button here, but everything else is manually operated. Overall, it's a pleasant place to be, both during the day and the night. It is a nice cockpit to sit in and it's a pleasant place to drive your vehicle from. Like I said, the quality is good, the sound system is excellent, the Harman Kardon system, and it's overall a pleasant place to sit, have overview of your car. I have a good view out both on the side and through the rear window, despite it not being that upright. So overall it's a good place to be and I like it. It's a nice, it gives you a bit of a sense of occasion, and it gives you, like I said in the beginning, a nice sense of control of your vehicle. So that is very, very nice. Sitting here in the back of the BMW i4, it's a little bit of a mixed bag. On the one hand, theoretically, I fit in here because I'm sitting behind myself right now and there's a bit of a sculpture in the seat, so there's enough leg room for me. But the back of the seats is hard, so that's uncomfortable. I do fit with my feet under the seat, so that's great too. But there's still a transmission tunnel here in the middle, limiting my range of freedom here of movement with my feet. Then there's the height. Technically speaking, if I sit like this, I fit, but if I move slightly backwards, I'm already wedged between the roof with my head. So that's not nice. Anybody over 183, which is my length, will not fit back here. My kids are 8 and 11 and not that tall yet, so they fit here no issues. But with a lack of panoramic roof and all this blackness, it is quite dark back here, even on a normal sunny day like today. So there's a lot of things to consider as far as that goes in terms of volume and space and practicality. The quality back here is good though. I have the same materials as in the front, that same artificial leather. I have USBs, I have my own climate controls, so that is all pretty great and all very nice for the people back here too. So as far as that goes, it's good. Despite the 4.80 meter length of the car, I don't have the feeling I'm sitting very far removed from the front. So that's really important for kids, that information exchange can easily take place. And especially when you're driving with kids and it is slightly darker back here because of the colors and the lack of extra light from the roof, it is important that that communication is easy, because that makes the journey more pleasant sitting here in the back. So it is, a little bit mixed, like I said. On the one hand, I technically fit in here for a short journey, no issues, and even for a slightly longer one. But you do run into the limitations of the shape of the car. And I especially noticed that, of course, with the headroom in my case. Obviously, we have to talk about the driving experience as well, because in the end, this i4 is a BMW, and BMW has a bit of a reputation when it comes to keeping up appearances in the driving department. And on paper, we have a very good recipe. We have the weight low down in the car with the battery pack. The car itself is low to the ground. We have 340 horsepower on the rear wheels only. So in theory, that should be pretty good. And it is actually a very nice car to both drive and cruise in. You can see that we're currently on the highway already. And for long distance cruising, this car is excellent. We have good range with the 83 kilowatt hour battery, and the powertrain is very compliant when you want to, but also punchy enough when you need it. You often hear me talk in these reviews that more horsepower is always better because it just gives you more options while driving. But especially with EVs, at some point there's also a limit to how much power can still be used. My own Xpeng G6, for example, has 500 horsepower, and I think that is the upper range of what is still usable on the road. When you go towards 600 and up, it becomes pointless in a way that you become so fast that it is really like borderline unusable. But back to this one, with 340 horsepower on tap, you're always a quick car, but you're not a full-on rocket ship. And I think that is a very nice balance. There's plenty of opportunity to hit full throttle in this car, going on the highway, overtaking people, and it's actually very pleasant in the way the power is delivered. And I think 340 horsepower is also about the upper limit of what you still want to drive with rear-wheel drive only. And looking at the lineup for this car, if you want to go one up, it already becomes xDrive 4-wheel drive with even a little bit more power. And especially, with winter coming up, when it starts to get wet and slippery, 340 is really all you want with just rear-wheel drive. So I think as far as that goes, it's nice. And I mentioned in the interior tour already as well that you sit low in the car and you feel like you're getting ready for a drive as soon as you get in. And that's really nice. And I hope I can convey that on camera a little bit, that feeling of getting into the car and not just having a piece of metal that is for transportation, but a bit more involvement in the driving that you notice in this car as soon as you sit down is really, really nice. And it gives you a bit of a sense of occasion, and it gives you a bit more of a smile factor when you get into this car and when you drive it. And obviously, by no means I'm saying that sitting here on the highway doing 100 kilometers an hour, it is extremely exciting or anything, but it does provide you with that little bit extra when the time and place is there. And I think that's nice, because especially with modern EVs, they're often accused of being a bit clinical, and I think that's true. And it is nice to have that little bit of extra in this car. And I think that's good, because it is a BMW, like I mentioned, and BMW needs to deliver on that little bit of extra driving pleasure. Now, the second thing that stands out is the comfort in here. You can play a bit with the suspension, put it in comfort or sport mode, but in general, when I have it in the normal comfort setting, it is very compliant, it's very flexible, and the car is a very nice place to be. There is little wind noise, especially around the mirrors, around the roof. And all you hear is a little bit of tire noise, but overall it's a very well insulated experience sitting here and driving this car for a longer distance. And of course that is part of the development of this car, because effectively it is a BMW 4 Series, it just happens to be electric. And of course that shape and that platform has been, you know, thoroughly developed over the years. And you can really feel that sort of, I would not call it heritage, but you can feel that development quality sitting here in this car. And I think that it's an important thing to notice actually, that this is a BMW 4 Series, it just happens to be an EV. And I think BMW has done a good job there making this car the proposition that it is, as just a 4 Series, it just happens to be electric. If you want the petrol version, fine, no problem, you can get that. If you want or have to go EV, then this is effectively the same car, just with the battery pack and the electric motor. And I think that's nice, because the Chinese cars, the Teslas of this world, they're a very different proposition in terms of design. They're very minimalistic, very futuristic maybe even, and that is certainly for a lot of people very interesting and appealing, but there's also people that just want a normal car and don't want that part of the equation. And for them this is excellent, because everything in here just feels BMW, is BMW, and oozes BMW, and that happens to be an EV. So that's nice. If you are a BMW driver and you need to or want to make that switch, it is a very nice switch to make. It's very comfortable because everything is recognizable apart from maybe a few buttons and a few things in the menu when it comes to electric driving, but that's it. And that's really nice. And I think that's a strong proposition from BMW to do it this way and not go overboard to the minimalistic Tesla side of things. As promised, we got to talk prices and versions. So I have my notepad right here. In the Netherlands, you can start with the i4 with the eDrive35 for 56,000 euro, and that will give you 286 horsepower. Then you go to this one as we have it here, which is the eDrive40 Gran Coupé for 64,000 euro. You get a horsepower bump to 340. Then you can get the xDrive, which is the four-wheel drive version, for 67,000 euro, and then you get 401 horsepower. If you want to go really bonkers, you can get the xDrive M60 Gran Coupé for 79,000 euro, but you do get more than 600 horsepower then. Now those are all starting prices. So let's look at the spec sheet for this one in particular. So like I said, this is the eDrive40 Gran Coupé, rear-wheel drive only. But this one has a few options, like the comfort pack, the 19-inch alloy wheels. We have the M Sport Pack Pro. We have the M Sport Edition pack. We do have a heated steering wheel. We also have adaptive suspension. We do also have BMW Iconic Sound Electric. We do have active protection. We have adaptive cruise control. We have some costs to get the car ready. We have some taxes and recycling costs and a whole bunch of other things, bringing the total for this car as it sits here with everything on and in it to 71,951 euros and 89 cents. Now this car and this version in particular, I think is the one to go for, because the 35 is the entry model. If you want to save some money, fine, but I think you get that little bit of extra driving pleasure with the extra horsepower in this eDrive40 before it gets expensive going for xDrive and going for higher horsepower versions. I wouldn't go for all the M Sport bits on the car though, things like the stitching in the seat belt and the buttons here on the door locks with the M logo and those things outside. Those are not really for me personally, but I do appreciate the fact that it is possible. I mean, if you look at the Teslas and the Chinese cars again, you can pick an outside color and maybe some wheels if you're lucky, and that's it. So there's not much personalization possible, and I think part of the joy of this kind of car, and especially a brand like BMW, is that you can go crazy with the personalized options and the little touches if you think that's cool. So I think that's also nice that that is still possible, even though it is something that gets quite expensive quite quickly, because this car has 8,000 euros on options alone. So that is a lot of money. All around though, I think it is a solid car. I like that BMW has stuck to its guns and made a BMW but electric. So that's good. And I think all around the driving experience has been very pleasant this week. So I'm looking forward to drive more BMWs in the future. I hope you will be there for those videos as well. If you're not subscribed yet, please do so, because we can use all the support in terms of followers and growth. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Let us know how you feel about this car versus its combustion cousin, and how you feel about BMWs in general these days. For now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Cheers!